I literally had to get suits tailored. I had to change my clothes, and
Yeah.
slim fit suits were the rage, so I was able to fit into a slim fit suit.
Yeah. Hey, it's Ian Weinberg with IanFitness, and we are here, episode number 9 of the Inside Look, and I am with Mr. Harry Chima. Man, long-time client and graduated into a coach. Just a real personality and a real awesome member of the IanFitness community all the way around. So I just want to kick it over to you just to start, and man, let's roll back the years here a little bit, and we can remember that far back, and just kind of tell us about how and when you first got started.
Yeah, I think I got started back in 2012. So at that point, Ian was renting space in another gym.
And 7 years ago.
Yeah, lucky 7 years ago. And I had just proposed to my now wife at that point. And then during the proposal, I looked in a mirror. And I was like, I got to change some stuff around. So the two of us looked for a gym that was just nearby our house. And we were living at Queen Anne at the time. And just kind of discovered the Seattle gym, which is where he was renting space. And then through there, found IanFitness and the boot camps that he was running. Don't like working out. Was really intimidating by the thought of working out, being out of shape and everything. So the classes just seemed like a fun way to work out. And at that point, working out didn't seem fun to me at all. So that was like a kind of a shock. But I just realized I needed to do something different and find an easy way to get back into being fit or trying to be fit. Yeah. And I took a couple, and it was still kind of like a little nervous getting into it, but the coaches there at the time, Chris Cuffey, really attaching to him and his personality and the way he did things kind of guided me into easing my way into the workout and kind of going on from there. So the first few months were pretty difficult, and I didn't know if I wanted to stick with it, but I started to see results pretty quickly, and I just enjoyed feeling better after the workout, and then feeling better about kind of the direction that my immediate life at that point was taking by working out so often. So it was just an easy entry. It was a fun class, and it helped that it was nearby where I lived, so it wasn't like a hard thing to get to. And it was just it was a natural decision that made sense at the time.
One of the best motivators of all time is the wedding, right?
Yeah.
Getting ready for the men and women. It's getting prepared for it. It's a big day that ideally only happens once, and you want to be best prepared for it. But what had happened like leading up to that in terms of like you needing to get into shape? Like how were you like always struggling fitness wise, or was there a point where you were enjoying where you're being at and then you'd fallen off?
I was struggling with my weight since I discovered beer pretty early on in life. So all of college was me from being fit to putting on just beer weight essentially. And then after college, I started working, and then it was a matter of I don't have time to go work out. I need to just focus on my job, and then the weight continued to pile on. And then I started working with a trainer when I lived in DC, and I lost some weight before I moved out to Seattle, and then just put it all back on afterwards. So it's kind of been like a yo-yo for most of my life, where I'm getting fit and then falling off the wagon and getting back on. So I kind of knew that I needed to do something, but nothing had ever stuck. So it was just like it was just me resigning myself to my life is just gonna be me yo-yoing through life, because I can't find anything that works out for me. And it's kind of leading up to it, I was just like, I need to do something. I need to fit into a suit, but how can I make it work? How can I make it stick? And how can I see results quickly?
Why do you think the things that didn't work previously were like that? Like changes of scenery are always a big contribution in terms of, if you're in a routine one place and you move someplace, you get out of the routine. But what do you think was, one of the main causes for kind of putting it back on when you were putting it back on?
I think it was the places I was working out. So I worked out at like large big box gyms where, everything is branded a certain way and there's nothing individualized to people. It's just you come in, you work out at your own pace. If there's a trainer you like, you'll work out with him. And when you're there, you're just seeing everyone else work out. So it can be very intimidating when I'm going in thinking about lifting up a 20-pound dumbbell, and there's just some jacked guy like going at it with like a group. Exactly. So it's like, mentally, it's a hard thing to get past.
Yeah.
Where it's like I feel like a fool because this person's doing all this weight and
Yeah.
I'm just here trying to get somewhere. So it was part of it was I didn't see my body type everywhere. It was just like people that look
So you
like
weren't identifying with people that were
yeah,
there.
it was people that looked like that they'd been working forever, and I didn't see like like a pudgy guy like myself there trying to work out. So that deterred me from going in. So it was the nervousness of being judged walking into a gym,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't think would happen because you go to a gym to lose weight.
Yeah, but no, it's very real.
Yeah.
I think the nervousness also comes from being in an environment of feeling like you might be judged a little bit, and then also, even for me, when I go into new environments that I'm not super confident about what's going on, or like the idiosyncrasies of it, like you're always going to feel a little bit anxious about it. Let's do a super fast forward, and we'll come back because there's some other questions I want to ask. But when you joined the boot camp, and even now in boot camp, there's people of all fitness levels. So what is it that's different about the IanFitness boot camp that has such a wide variety of fitness levels that still allows people to feel comfortable, and you, I imagine, because obviously you're still going, versus like a big box gym where there's a wide range but doesn't necessarily provide that comfort?
Yeah. I think it's probably a few different things. One, it's the coaches that are there. Because like I mentioned, I attached immediately to one coach when I started who kept me there. And it was the personality, them getting to know me a little bit. Even if at that time Chris didn't know my name, he still knew things about me that allowed me to immediately connect with someone. Yeah. And the fact that he was able to do it with a class of 15 people, where he wasn't spending time necessarily with everyone, but had some kind of connection with them, that kept me there. The different body types, I mean, in the classes, I saw people that were as fit as the coach was there. Then I saw people who were just starting day one. Yeah. And there's everything in between. So it helped that there was kind of a wide range. So I was like, I could be at these phases of these different people by continuing to work out. Yeah. And then it kind of also mentally motivated to me where it was like, I'm at this place right now, but there's that person working out next to me who's ahead of me. I want to get to that pace. So while there's no competition in the classes, there's always still that internal drive where you find someone in the class, you're like, that's the person I want to go after, and like run past them in class, or like try to lift more than them. So that kind of did it as well. Cool. And then just the vibe of the class. I mean, it's never a super serious class where people are yelling or grunting or things like that. It's always, everyone has kind of like their own personality and their own phase. So you're just comfortable working out. You're not, you compete against yourself if you want, but there's never a moment where someone I'm working out with at a station or teaching makes me feel uncomfortable being there.
So you're like, got to figure out a plan for the suit that I'm supposed to fit into. And I remember, I can still see the before and after picture in my head, but you had some pretty significant results right away. Do you remember like the stats behind that?
I had to get basically an entire new wardrobe. I started out, when I first came to your class, I was at 229. Okay. And I was like, there was like no muscle there. It was all pudge. And then by the time I got married, about a year later, I had dropped to like the mid 190s. Wow. But dropped a lot of fat at that point. Yeah. So I had gone down a couple sizes in pants. Yeah. So 30 pounds a couple of shirts.
Plus a pretty significant body composition drop.
Yeah, it was entirely different. It was entirely different feeling, entirely different wardrobe, because I literally had to get suits tailored. I had to change my clothes, and slim fit suits were the rage. So I was able to fit into a slim fit suit.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So got through the wedding, and then, man, I don't know for sure, but oftentimes after the wedding, there tends to be a little bit of a drop off. Did you guys experience a drop off as well? Yeah.
Yeah. After the wedding, we went on an actual honeymoon, and then after that, we were just enjoying life. Hanging out with friends because they wanted to spend time with us. Who couldn't make it to our wedding, that kind of thing. So there was probably like a solid 30 to 60 days of barely working out and just having a good time, and then putting some of that weight back on. But as soon as it started to come back on and some clothes fit a little snugger, there wasn't that fear of going back to the gym and being judged for putting the weight back on. Sure. As soon as I got back in the gym, it was like, where have you been? Yeah. Why have you been coming to classes? But not in a judgmental way. It was like, we're ready for you to get back in the groove of things. And I did. And then the weight came off a little bit slower because we still were, kind of having fun. But there was never a fear of like, I can't go back to the gym and let them see that I put weight back on. Sure. It was always more of a, I'll go back. I know they're going to encourage me, and that's exactly what happened.
Whether you come in one time or whether you're in for a year and you're gone for a week or you're gone for a year, everybody's always welcome back, and there's always cycles in life where you're going through it.
And the coolest thing is like seeing the pictures around the studio of like before and after, and having actually worked out with those people.
Yeah.
It's fun to see, like, you see somebody you worked out with like 4 years ago, and then you see their after picture, and it's like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
They can do it. I did it.
Yeah.
It kind of helps add that motivation to going back.
That's awesome. So you had that artificial, I guess it's not artificial, it's a real kind of like external motivator of the wedding, and then that was gone and past you. What was then kind of the motivation to keep you going at that point, or to kind of keep pushing you to get in there?
I think I got into the motive or understanding that I can't just get to where I want to be and then go back to eating how I wanted to and like enjoying everything. Like, I don't know why it took me forever to understand. Like, I have to maintain this body. It's just not like a one time you're lost and you're done kind of thing. So I think working out often instilled in me that I need to keep doing it. One, because I physically felt better, but two, just like, you maintain your car. Yeah. You take it in for checkups, you gotta change the oil, you do the same thing with your body. And it took me a long time to understand that. Even when I was playing sports in high school, like, at that point, metabolism is just firing. So everything drops off. But now it's like, I know I need to maintain myself. So I always have this consistent nagging essentially in the back of my head, kind of like a fitness conscience, where it's like, you got to go back to the gym. If you miss a couple of days, that's fine. But like, you really got to go back.
I mean, where are you at now, like weight-wise and kind of fitness level-wise? Do you feel like you're where you want to be? Are you kind of like the best Harry that you could be? Or what's your goals fitness-wise now? So in the past year, so when I was started working out, years ago, I worked out. I changed my diet a little bit, not a whole lot. I got into eating more protein, kind of laying off the fatty stuff, but then you just eat what you eat eventually, and that kind of fell by the wayside. So I've gotten more strict about how I'm eating in the past, I'd say 6 months-ish, because I wanted to take more weight off. I got to a point where exercises were getting easier. I was lifting more weights, but I still physically wanted to keep going. Not because I was unsatisfied, but just I felt like I could do more with my body. So I added dieting to my actual workout routine. So I was working out 3 to 5 times a week. I started eating less carbs, and I started like listening to the instructors, and they're like, after this workout, make sure you get protein. Which instead, afterwards, after workout, it's like, all right, Saturday I worked out, let's get some pancakes, let's get some syrup, instead of like, let's have some eggs and greens. So I kind of changed up my dieting, and now I'm at 165. Wow.
I've lost some muscle along with the weight loss, but again, like having to change the wardrobe, which is always a good problem. It's an expensive problem. But it's a good problem.
Buy conservatively to begin with.
Pretty much. So that's kind of where I'm at.
60 plus pounds, man. It's incredible.
And I mean, I know we're on the IanFitness podcast, but like I legit couldn't have done it without getting into these classes and continuing to push myself to work and having like people around me who are losing weight have that motivate me to do it. So,
well, that's actually kind of my next question, because it's tough to do on your own. It really is, and that's one of the things that we really try to provide is the community and the support. But I know that you've had some support at home, right? Because you're your significant other. And you guys sought out the boot camp to start with initially. But talk a little bit about that, of what that's like to have a partner at home who's kind of on board, right? Who's not only supportive, but I imagine that there might be days when you're not necessarily as interested in going, and maybe she drags you in, or even probably vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. It adds a different layer of motivation to it. Like you said, we both found IanFitness at the same time. And there are days where, that morning class is hard for me to make. 5:30, can't ever do it unless I'm jet lagged and awake. 6:15, it can be really tough, but there's that moment of guilt where both of our alarm goes off, and it's like, all right, who's gonna get up, make that first move? Who's gonna be the one that stays in bed? And if one of us gets up, like it motivates the other person. Like, all right, if they're getting up, I can get up. Or if they're gonna get up and get ready, it's gonna disturb my sleep anyway. So why struggle with another 45 minutes?
They're probably not quite as light on the footsteps if one person's getting up and did I turn the light on? Oh, sorry about that.
I mean, guilt can be a powerful motivator, and in our relationship when it comes to working out, that definitely helps drive it. And we've never regretted getting up early and going to work out, even though we know we have to like kind of get changed quickly and maybe skip breakfast at home to make it to work on time. It's a thing that motivates us and never it doesn't ever not pay off.
Yeah.
And the fact that my wife has always been fitter than I am is
Yeah.
like an extra motivator
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she can tell when she's not where she wants to be, which helps motivate me to get to where
Totally.
she is. So
Yeah, it's one of those things when that alarm goes off, like if you get up early, like you might regret it for 5 or 10 minutes, but if you sleep in, you can regret it for the whole day, because then you're behind and you miss your workout and you can't plan your meals or whatever it might be. So it's like, do you want 5 minutes or do you want like a whole day of regret, right? And then once you get in, you do that workout, like you're never going to regret, the 5 workouts.
And it's good to get it out, for us, like, I don't know, again, one of those things they don't think about. I get it done in the morning. I don't have to worry about doing it later, because sometimes you get busy at work.
Yeah,
you want to go home and relax and have
life
dinner.
happens,
So
is what
exactly,
I would say. Yeah. Especially when you start adding in kids and kind of more variables and more things can potentially block you. So talk a little bit about your transition from, as you've kind of, workout-wise, do you have any idea where you're at? High 500s?
Oh, way beyond that. So we tried to calculate this.
Because you were accumulating training sessions before the system was even in place to record them.
Yeah, I got grandfathered into the 500 workout
trip.
We tried to calculate this because my wife still checks in. Since I teach, I don't check in as often anymore. She's at about 700. But there's all those outdoor classes before we had your studios where we couldn't check in. So, the two of us are probably closing in around 800 in terms of the workouts we've been to.
It's remarkable, man.
So I want that chrome t-shirt when I get to 1,000.
We'll talk a little bit about, two things I want to know. Number one, I want to know why and how you're still coming at 800 workouts of 800 workouts at a specific place. What is it about the workouts that are still appealing to you? Why is it? Why and how is it? And how do you think that it's still working? Right, you're still making progress towards your goals. A lot of that's nutrition for sure, but I know there's a percentage of it that's the workouts. So tell me about those two things, and then I want to hear a little bit about your transition into coaching.
So the reason we still come out is one of the reasons why I think working out never worked for me prior to coming to these classes is when I worked with a trainer, or if I just went online to figure out how to work out. It was always do this many reps of this many reps of this many reps of this, rinse and repeat. Do it for 45 minutes. Do it again the next day. With the boot camps, it's always different exercises. Even if you're repeating exercises, Monday through Friday, they're still, spaced out differently, structured differently. So it's not like a bland workout. I know I'm not doing burpees is probably a bad example because I know I'm doing those every day. But I know I'm not doing just like bicep curls, for a certain number of reps 5 days in a row. Because even that, it gets to be boring if you're doing the same thing. Changing it up adds the variety, adds the spice to life. So knowing that's going to be a different workout makes me want to come back, especially when it comes to the weekend workouts where it's all coaches are doing things differently. It's I know I'm getting something different. Getting something different on these days. So that makes it fun. And the other question was?
So your transition into coaching. Number one, what appealed to you about that? What aspect appealed to you about it? And what, obviously you have such a wealth of experience of being a client. How do you see you putting that into play when you're coaching?
I think, so part of it was probably selfish and self-motivating, but I talked about earlier, I didn't see myself a lot of these gyms. I wanted to partially do it because I'm not as fit as the coaches are. So I want someone to see that there's someone who's not as fit who can still teach these boot camps, but who's also worked their way up to get to a point where they're fit. So hopefully when some of the clients that come to my boot camps, they've seen probably my photo on the wall because it's at that gym, but they also see that I've come a long way and now I'm teaching these boot camps, and it's a different type of inspiration. So hopefully I'm inspiring someone to continue to come back, continue to lose weight because I did it by doing just these classes and rarely changing my diet, that they can also kind of get to that same point.
Awesome. I love it. And is that kind of your take also in terms of your experience running training sessions, or being in training sessions? Because I imagine it's after doing 800 of them, it's pretty easy for you to be I can see that you can't quite do that. Here's a variation that I've pulled out maybe 700 workouts ago or whenever it might be, and able to kind of share that with them.
I think the biggest thing is after some of the classes that I teach on Sundays, when you have these challenges where like you're weighing yourself, and our clients are like recording where they are at the body weight and they're seeing where they're at with their body fat, they'll make comments like, oh, I didn't lose any weight from the last check-in. And that's at the point where I can kind of use my story and tell them like, you're not going to lose that weight at every check-in.
Yeah.
Like it might stay consistent, for 4 out of 5 weeks, but if you look at the clothes you're wearing, if you see yourself in the mirror, you'll see those changes happening. And it's not necessarily that number. Because I think mentally that's what messed me up with working out and weight loss, was looking at that number on the scale and realizing that that's not the world, that number right there. That number can fluctuate all over the place, but how I look and how I feel is kind of 100%. Where you have to be.
Yeah, those non-skill victories are the biggest one. And what I like to remind people is if you focus on the non-skill victories, that you're feeling better, that you're looking better, your clothes are fitting better, all those pieces, then without even noticing it, then when you do look at the scale or the measurements, those are changing. Yeah. And you're also feeling a heck of a lot better. Whereas if you only focus on the scale, those things might move a little bit, but you're not even thinking about feeling any better or not. You know what I mean? So you miss out on the fulfillment piece. So that's a great point.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that the fact that like I've lost that weight and I become a trainer, that when I say it to them, it's not just them thinking, well, that's just like what people in the fitness world say. Like I've gone through it, I've lived it, I know what that change is like. Yeah. It's it's 7 years, not that long in the grand scheme of my life, but like if you just stick with it, you'll see those changes happening.
Yeah, that perspective is super important. And most people, they overestimate what they can do in a year or 1 month, right? They're like, oh, I didn't lose all my weight in 1 month. Well, it didn't take a month to put it all on, right? And then they underestimate what they can do in 5 years or 10 years. I'm the great example. It's like, oh, in 1 year, I was like, I'm going to have, 5,000 clients. And I was like, I didn't have 5,000 clients in 1 year, but no way ever in my life did I think that after 10 years, we'd have, this 10 locations and all that stuff. So I had overestimated what I was capable of, but also underestimated on the long term. And we see that all the time with clients on fitness level, and just a mindset shift will then keep them consistent, which is kind of where the pieces come in. So one last thing I want to ask you before we end is, some advice for folks who are thinking about getting started, or maybe who have gotten started and have a hard time hitting some initial milestones and are feeling like, or telling themselves that story that we all do in some portion, like, hey, this isn't for me, like I'm different and I can't lose the weight, or I'm different and I need to go get in shape before I get in shape. Like, what's the message for those folks?
I mean, the message is kind of just to show up and kind of not have those initial fears that I did of how you're going to be judged by working out. Because that's the toughest part, is getting over that mental block of what are these other people who are working out next to me thinking in their minds when they see me flailing around like a dead bug when I'm trying to do some like ab exercise. And it's just that they're not thinking about you. Like they're also worried about their form. They're worried about how they look. I mean, it's...
The truth is, like, you're not that important.
Yeah, right? That's what it comes down to.
You're not that important. Everybody's looking at it. It feels like it all the time.
No one's thinking about you. Like,
and that comes from the guy who, like, I'll walk into a room and I'm not sure where I should put my hands. That's the thought in my head. Like, do I go behind the back? Do I go in the pockets? Do I go, that would look weird? Like, that's actively a thought in my head. And so I get that. But the truth is, like, nobody's really thinking about that. Exactly. But it's one of those, again, common things when you put yourself in an environment that's uncomfortable because it's new.
And it was also like if I thought I looked silly working out, doing any of these exercises, I would look over and see someone who's in the same shape as I am or not as good shape as I am and see them also flailing. Like, oh, it's not just me. Like, we're all going to have this struggle. And I was also one of those guys that, when I saw ads or whatever it was, like, look what I did with my body. You can do it too. I was like, no, I can't. That's not me. Like, that's not going to happen. And now that I'm here, like, it sounds kind of preachy, but I mean, anyone can make the change that they need to. It's just a matter of kind of sticking to it and finding what works for you. And then these boot camps are what worked for me, and that's why I stuck with them.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, this is really, I mean, one of the kind of fundamental reasons kind of I started this and continue doing like these type of transformations, and then to see you in the position where you're giving back to the people's really awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to come and experience my classes every Sunday at Green Lake,
there we
9
go.
o'clock,
yes.
9:30, 9 o'clock.
This video podcast is going to be online indefinitely, so you have to hold on to that. And then hopefully in a very upcoming episode, we'll have Harry's wife on as well, and she'll be able to tell her side of the story, and this will be interesting to compare and contrast. So thanks again. I really appreciate you being on, and thanks everybody again for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel down below, and feel free to check out one of the other episodes that you may have missed in the past. And we'll see you at boot camp soon. All right. Thanks, man.